Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. I'll give you my financial opinions. We're going to work our way through the dollar, the yields, precious metals, and then to commodities that I follow. If you guys need any help with anything commodity-wise, definitely sign up for finding-value.com. The Platinum membership, use the word discount in the discount coupon code. So discount if you want a discount on the Platinum membership. So let's dive in. Let's start with the dollar. Again, this is the DXY. DXY is just a relative strength of the dollar versus other currencies. Remember, basically all of these commodities are priced in dollars. So the numerator, the scarcity of the commodity, is what drives prices up and down. But the entire commodity complex gets priced up and down based off of the value of the dollar. So when the dollar declines, generally speaking, when the DXY declines, or when the dollar is weaker than other currencies, we see strength in dollar. It strengthened prices across the commodity and precious metals complex priced in dollars. I'll put it that way. And right now, we've got some weakness showing up in the charts. Now, would I have guessed that this weakness would have came? Probably not based off the chart pattern, but it is coming. And it does look like we could potentially head lower for this dollar index. Let me go auto here. There we go. So we are heading lower, and the DXY was down about 0.5%. And it looks like it could continue lower. It looks like we're right at that support level, and if we break to the downside, we could see the DXY really start to accelerate to the downside. So that's the DXY there. You can see that there's an abyss below us. And usually what you want to do is you want to look left to see where there's support. There's support in this general vicinity. If I do kind of a horizontal line here, somewhere in this line here, there's some decent support there. There's a little bit above it too. So there is support underneath us. Coming through here about 100, a little over 100 on the index. But nonetheless, it looks pretty weak. The 10-year yield up 1.2%, so dollar down, yield up. And there's the yield going higher there. It is not a reversal candlestick or anything. The uptrend is still intact at this time. TLT, which is 20-year bond prices. So we were just looking at yields. Bond prices are opposite of yields. That downtrend is still intact. We were down 1.11%. And then the 30-year yield is also up today. Still looks good for a potential move higher. And the trend is still intact. And looking at the TYX to TNX ratio, we were slightly higher today, 0.15%, but it's really just grinding sideways for the most part. Again, just to kind of repeat myself here, this is when precious metals generally do very well. This is when oil had done very well. So inverted yield curve is this guy, uninverting the yield curve is that guy. Think of it that way. And we're really low on this ratio. It doesn't mean it can't go lower. We can obviously go lower than this trend line here. We've done it back in the 90s. We also did it back in 2000. And we just cycle back and forth. And it doesn't mean that oil can't go higher when this goes higher. It's just, it seems like when this is going up, precious metals generally dominate because it's the curve lowering and uninverting at the same time, generally speaking. The CRB index, we were higher today, 0.63%. We're right on that support level. This still looks really good for a move higher. We've got a bullish engulfing candlestick today, and it looks good for a move higher. And crude oil was also higher today. We've got the CRB to S&P 500 just slightly higher today. Again, it looks all right. We've been kind of chopping to the upside here. But that's looking fine. CRB, commodities in general could outperform the overall stock market, and I think that will continue. It doesn't mean that we're going to go up straight. You're going to see pause points And I think we're at that point where we came up, we're kind of doing kind of a double top. We might kind of slowly work our way out of this thing, and then we'll see another move higher eventually. Gold moving higher. Are we going to break out of this? Now, this is an ascending wedge. That is generally bearish. So if I were to say statistically, this would most likely go lower, but we're getting some buying pressure here. We do have a wick at the top a few days ago. We've got some wicks up here. There is some selling pressure as we hit that resistance wall. I know it's a wall of psychological herd mentality that we're hitting, but it very well could break out of the top of this as well, which would be actually very bullish. We are sitting on top of a lot of, I'll say, bullish fundamentals. And I think the fundamentals are tied into the bond markets and currency markets. And we've also broken out to the upside of this pattern here. There's logarithmic, unlogarithmic, but it's all bullish at this time for a technical perspective on the medium to longer term. The short term, yeah, we could blow out to the downside here, but I don't know. Today was a pretty strong day. It finished quite strong. Let's see what next trading session brings us if we can break out of this thing. Right now, we're just squeezing up. In silver, we've got a similar thing here. I think we're just kind of squeezing up there. We'll see which way we break here. We've got positive and negative things. We've got a negative, got a bearish engulfing there, which means we could go lower, but this is a pretty big bullish candlestick, and we only have small selling pressure days in it. So which way is this thing going to break? I'd say it's pretty even on which way this could go in the short term. I don't play the short term. I play the long term. So what I'm playing is a much easier bet than the short term stuff. I just buy it and hold on. Let me back out here. And right now, this looks ultra bullish for a move higher. So think of it as you can kind of throw, well, we've got strong resistance here. We broke above that resistance. We did a retest move back to it, and then usually you bounce from it and roll higher. The fractal also looks the same as the fractal of before. So think of it as a good consolidation period here of a double bottom. Here's your double bottom. You break out of the double bottom, kind of do a retest, break out of the double bottom, do a retest, and then boom, we could be in that big surge higher for silver. Now, I say we could because nothing is 100% for sure, but it sure looks good for the continued momentum to the upside. Platinum remaining very resilient. We had a massive move yesterday. We didn't even get a bloody nose today. This was another 1.5% move higher today. We could be at the precipice of a very big move in platinum. Very big move means that we could double the price from the lows down here pretty quickly up to maybe this area here, or maybe even back to the highs of $2,000 something. I'm saying it's a possibility, not saying it will happen, but it sure looks good. We've got lots of momentum behind us. Let's hope that momentum can continue. Silver, this is the gold and silver mining companies. We were down 1.15%. We're bouncing off that resistance line. Still have a little ways to go. We've got GDX down a little bit when gold is up, but basically just moving sideways. If I were to kind of take this out of here, we've come on back and we're just basically moving sideways for GDX. SILJ down 0.85%. Again, it doesn't look bad. We're just tracking sideways in it underneath a resistance line. We've got crude oil. Crude oil's up actually quite strong today. Up 2.59%, finished very strong. We've got some wicks on the bottom here. Buyers coming in, buying it up at every second they can. And I think if we kind of break through this resistance line, I think we'll break out. Maybe we get a little pullback or something like that and roll on higher. I know that the physical demand for oil is pretty good. The question is the appetite for the paper demand there? Because what we're charting here is paper demand, not so much the physical demand. And they're supposed to match each other, but not all the time. Natural gas down 2.83%. We're down to $4.43. I think that puts us right on the support level of where we're supposed to be. Now we're seeing a little bit of contraction in the candlestick sizes. You know, the opening and closing price is starting to contract and get a little bit of a contraction there. So the buyers are coming in. We're coming to a support level. Hopefully we can kind of move sideways down here instead of just rocketing lower. I do think out in the future, natural gas has deficits. We're gonna be putting in more liquefied natural gas plants. Freeport is still shut at this time, and I think it's all contributing to short-term weakness. But there's long-term demand for natural gas out of America. XOP, yeah, you know me, up a little bit, 0.5% today. This is a bullish piercing yesterday. We've got our little move higher. Is this thing going to break out of this little consolidation pattern, or is this a continuation pattern where we go lower for a little bit? Yet to be seen, but we're just consolidating sideways in that pattern. OIH, the energy service companies, we are in an ascending wedge type formation, which generally breaks to the downside. We've got a large bearish engulfing pattern here, kind of our lead in, and then we're struggling to fight our way back. So it may puke out one last time, give us a nice good buying opportunity somewhere in this region there. I've said that a few times. Now look at the my good old boy Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Is this giving us a middle finger here? What's going on? Bullish engulfing here. That's the start of the move. We talked about the bullish engulfing, and I wanted to see follow through of the buyers to show us that they're here. And yeah, they definitely showed up. Buyers are here, and we are rocketing higher through that resistance line. So Sprott Physical Uranium Trust looks really good. Really good. URNM, it's also following suit to some degree. I've talked about all of these large red candlesticks all sprinkled in here. It might be the last of what they consider to be the retail sector capitulating. That is yet to be seen, though. We'll see. But today, strong day, strong finish, and that is in face of a bearish engulfing that day here. So we're sitting on top of this short-term little pattern, too. So we've got a lot going on. We've got buyers versus the sellers kind of beating each other up. But this looks good to hopefully continue higher if it wants to. Looking at TAN, TAN's just slightly lower, down 0.19%. Again, this doesn't look too strong in the short term. I still think this could head lower. I'm not messing with it down here. COPX down 1.64%, our copper ETF. We'll call it COPX. And looking at COPX, I still think we could get a little bit more downside out of this. We've got the bearish engulfing there. Another one here. Think of it as kind of a double, triple top, something like that. And I think we'll end up where I did the squiggles down there. Kind of a little retest move. Looking at lithium, lithium's trying to put together a little rally. It's weak right now. There's no real large, I'll say, reversal candlestick pattern or anything yet. This thing looks pretty ugly when you back out for lithium. So it's still looking pretty ugly, and it does look like we could continue lower in the short term. And could this be like an A, B, C correction, something like that? If I were to look at this and kind of guess where this thing would end up, 0.618 is where I've got the circle drawn roughly. That is $48 a share. That's a high likelihood. Or it could do a full retracement all the way back to $36 if it decides to go that far, which it very well could. REMX, sideways today. Again, I don't see the buying pressure. I don't see a reversal candlestick. That means the trend is still in place for a move lower in rare earth metals. The S&P 500, it looks like it's trying to put something together here. You can see that the momentum's lower here, but it's going sideways now. And we've got a little wick at the bottom there. Some buyers are present. We'll see if those buyers step in and try to push this thing on higher, or if it rolls on over again. Again, watch yields. If yields continue higher, it's going to put pressure on these overall stock markets. The NASDAQ down a little bit, 0.11, again up. We've got increasing interest rate environment. This is your big bullish engulfing. I think the markets thought, hey, you know what? They're going to ease off. They didn't. And we're coming back to this bottom portion again. Could be a double bottom and then a move higher. I'm not stating that is what I think. I'm saying it could be that. And we got to see the buyers step in here and show us that they are being serious there. Emerging markets just moving sideways. I don't really see any change in direction or anything here. We've got a broken down trend. I still think the trend is up over time. XHB down 1%. Again, still looks good. The selling pressure over here isn't too big. You see a bunch of green candlesticks, some of them quite large. Usually that means that the buyers are still in control. Looking at Moo. Moo still looks a little bit weak. I don't see much buying pressure here. Basically what that means is that's almost a continuation pattern to the downside. And that's kind of what I'm seeing there. Looking at copper. Copper's got the three little guys here. I think this is going to go higher. I don't see selling pressure pushing this thing to the downside, even though we do have a lot of selling pressure with these wicks up there. That's why it comes up, sells off, comes up, sells off, sells off, sells off, sells off. But there's not much selling pressure at this resistance line right underneath it anyway. So it's a battle between the buyers and the sellers. Who's going to wear each other out first? We'll find out. I think this looks like it wants to go higher based off the candlestick sizes of the selling pressure. Lumber down a little bit. I still think this looks like it wants to go higher. We are squeezing up in this wedge, and then eventually with these small down candlesticks and the larger buying pressure, it'll work its way higher. So I'm a bull in lumber in the short term. Iron ore up 3.89%. This guy's a beast. Here, let me do this. Let me put the lines in there. There's the line. So you can see it now. Let me take this chicken scratch out of here. There's the line where we've broken to the upside of that. We've got the three-wave correction. Not necessarily complete. You could do this, kind of draw it a little bit more. But that's what it looks like right now. Iron ore, I still think will go up over time. Still looks good in the falling wedge. Nickel moving on higher. Well, not today. It's down 1.2%. But there it is, moving on higher over time. This almost looks like the stimulus money, the total bank credit divided by GDP almost. GDP were like right there. But nickel, yeah, it's looking good, moving on higher. Still think it will go higher. Aluminum's just moving sideways. It still looks good, and I think we're eventually going to work our way on up. I'm very bullish aluminum. Baltic Dry Index, I don't think this is updated. This says Friday the 23rd. I don't know why it's still there, but that's Baltic. We've got basically the coal futures just moving sideways underneath resistance. So we've got a little bit of resistance there. And then Ethereum slightly lower with Bitcoin slightly lower. And there's no updates there. It's just moving sideways. So that's the last trading day of 2022. And what looks good to me is energy. Energy looks really good. I think the companies are looking strong. Energy service companies look really strong. Those are the two areas I really like. And if you guys want some ideas around those areas, definitely sign up. A Platinum membership, use the word discount, and you can go over the ones I really like. We've had a couple already take off multiple hundreds of percents in a few months time frame. And we've got some other ones that haven't left yet. They are still at the station. It's all aboard, and I think eventually they're gonna take off. We also have some that have taken off quite a bit from our bottoms. They're right at resistance levels, and they're about to break again. So I'm remaining long in them. That's my strategy, and hopefully we can get some really big returns out of them for everybody that's a part of the website, part of the community. So if you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Subscribe to the website if you'd like. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.